following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the WZWA Network's review of AEW Rampage, The First Dance. As you can see already, no Carl. Where the hell is Carl, DJ? We don't know. No, he's actually having a fun day out. He's taking a break today. As usual, he is so busy with all of these, with all of his podcasts and interviews and reviews, all the stuff he does. So he wanted to take the day off and go get drunk in the Swan Valley. So good on him. It's a beautiful day outside to do so.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling today, DJ?
I'm feeling okay. It's been a big last couple of weeks and a big episode of Rampage for us to dive into here. Jack and
Yeah,
Tim?
man. I think everyone that's clicked on this video already knows what the big topic of discussion is for this.
You know why you're here. You all know what you're doing here.
Yeah, exactly right. And I try not to I don't get up early to watch AEW often, but I did this morning. All right, I like watching my wrestling live, and I thought today, well, it's gonna be a bit of a different story because, well, already straight off the bat, DJ, one of the biggest segments in wrestling over the last 15 years. One of the biggest things to happen to wrestling this year. We thought Edge coming back was big. We thought, the Hardy Boys coming back was big. Christian coming back was big. But I don't think this is one of those ones where we always thought that this was the one return that we always said that was never, ever, there was just zero chance of it ever happening. And it happened. I'm going to let you take this one away, DJ. Let us through what happened at the start of this show.
Yeah, I mean, show opens up. Mark Henry, Excalibur, Jim Ross, and Taz on the commentary booth. No Jericho. It was actually really refreshing not to constantly be bombarded by his screeching. But they, the crowd was hot when this show opened in the United Center. Huge crowd. They went right to it. Cult of Personality hits over the loudspeakers. The crowd erupts. The hard camera shakes. This was like, regardless of what you think of CM Punk as a talent, this was like a Stone Cold level pop. This was a gigantic pop. Punk eventually came out, really soaked in the atmosphere, soaked in the moment, which only seemed to build the anticipation even more. He, took his time getting to the ring, dived into the crowd, hugged, shook hands with fans and family members and friends at ringside, really kind of let the moment, he sat in the moment. I didn't see a million fans with their phones recording it because everyone was in the moment. And so it was a genuine big moment in wrestling that we don't get many of. Definitely one of the biggest returns ever. Arguably the biggest. Some people will call it the biggest. Punk eventually steps into the ring. It annoyed me that when he finally got to the ring, they then cut to commercial and Excalibur's kind of like almost pleading with the audience. We know you've waited 7 years to hear from CM Punk and you only have to wait 90 seconds more. We'll be right back with CM Punk after this commercial. And I was just like, why? Why not just fucking stack the commercials a different way so that you can just let this thing unfold in real time? Comes back from the commercial. Punk's got the mic. He spent a lot of time in this promo really building it up and pacing it. He spent some time discussing why he initially left, how he felt, a little bit of his point of view, some of the things that he's done and said in the meantime, kind of really painted a picture of who he was as a performer and as a person and why he went away, all that time ago, 7 years ago. Went on to say that eventually he was the hunger to return to wrestling was lit in him by seeing all the young guys and all the old scores that he could settle as well on the AEW roster, and that he's come back. So the crowd was really at a fever pitch at this point. Eventually he moved on to the topic of Darby Allin. I remember thinking to myself, I hope they cut to Darby and Sting in the rafters so that they're actually there and Punk can actually directly address them, which is exactly what happened. We see Darby and Sting in the rafters. The crowd's getting even more crazy at this point. Punk basically says, you know, the most dangerous thing Darby can do is wrestle him, and even more dangerous to wrestle him in Chicago, his hometown. Punk challenges Darby for All Out. The crowd is at a fever pitch. Now, the big thing you and I said at this point, I mean, look, the promo segment itself, I'd probably give this an A. This was maybe even an A+. Like, this was really maybe one of the most well-executed things I've seen on AEW so far in my time watching. Excellent promo by Punk. He looked great. He sounded great. You know, the new T-shirt looks good. It's similar to the popular one from WWE, but it's, you know, their own little version of it. That's going to sell like hotcakes. The big problem that you and I have, though, Jack, as I'm sure you'll get into, is that where do you go from here? You know, it feels like opening the show like with this huge moment, you know, there's nowhere to go but down in terms of the excitement of the overall show, because we've still got a whole episode of Rampage to come now after this big return.
Exactly right. Hey, it's just I'm gonna end up saying this a lot throughout this show. Like, I mean, and it sucks. And I'll start off my review of this whole Punk thing. But the main point of actually really that was on my mind this entire time in terms of AEW. Now I know this is going to sound like nitpicking and all that sort of stuff, but if you're going to have a show like, you know, a show like this, and you're going to have someone like CM Punk return to professional wrestling after 7 years, like this is a massive return. I don't think there is another return out there that we could get at this point that would be as big. I can't think of anyone coming to my mind right now. Maybe someone in the comments can maybe suggest someone. But if you're going to have CM Punk like this, you have to stack the card to the brim. You probably got the most eyes on your product since Double or Nothing 2019 when the show, when AEW first popped up on screens, or even the first Dynamite for their first TV show. This is a chance to really reel back in the old fans from, you know, that may have left over the last decade, to reel in even older fans who are familiar with CM Punk that just haven't, you know, kept in touch. This is your chance. And there's also some fans that maybe they're just watching for a bit of CM Punk nostalgia. I don't know. But this is your chance to really stack your card to the brim, really sell your product to all these fans who would not normally be watching your product on a weekly basis. I just really felt like it being at the start of the show. I mean, I get it. You know, everyone's hot. You want to have this, you want to just want to hot shot this show. It's the first dance. It's AEW Rampage, the first dance. Is one of the most important shows AEW will do all year. I understand the need to have it at the start, but if you're going to do that, then have the rest of the card that needs to be, you know, fucking stacked with your stars. It needs to be your best. I understand a lot of it was just for storytelling, you know, advancement and all that sort of stuff. I get it. It was still written as a wrestling TV show, and we'll talk about the rest of it soon. But in terms of the CM Punk promo itself, when I woke up today, I was like, hang on, I still wasn't sure. I wasn't 100% sure. And then all of a sudden you hear Cult of Personality play. That just the first few guitar riffs that were on, and the place went fucking electric. It was one of the biggest moments in professional wrestling in the last 15 years. You argue The Rock's return was a little bigger. It could have been bigger. I think it's so close. They're both the same time frame. It's just so close. Again, like going back to what you said, just going straight to the adverts. I didn't really, you know, I don't understand. I'm not a producer in TV. But yeah, so we get back to Punk's promo. You know, sort of milking it in when he was in there. You can't blame him. That would have been an incredible feeling to experience. Punk has, as far as I'm concerned, still got it on the mic. He hasn't missed a step. It just shows his charisma and his natural ability to just cut promos. From what I gathered, I'm assuming Punk is back full time. Like, is he going to be wrestling on Dynamite? Going to be wrestling on a weekly basis? Like, not next week, but like moving forward after All Out, I presume. I'm not sure.
I took it to mean that we'll probably see him on pay-per-views and stuff like that. I don't think he'll be having matches every week on TV.
We'll have to see how that goes, because I would like to see him wrestling. I'd like to see him wrestle every week, because as I said to you, this is someone that was, you know, my favorite wrestler up until January of 2014 when he left. So to see this again is sort of just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking awesome to see Sting and CM Punk involved in the same angle, even if they're not, you know, against each other, or to the degree of Darby and Punk. I think to see Sting and CM Punk on TV together in the same angle, in the same segment, is absolutely surreal. Tell any of this back at, in 2019 if that would happen. No, never. But again, biggest segment in wrestling in the longest time. But then where do you go from here? It's a 1-segment show, for all I know. And as far as I'm concerned, AEW, other than the adverts, absolutely nailed it. And his first shirt is perfect. But then we go.
Very good points, Jack. Very good. Very astute. I'd have to say I agree. It's like, it is just a thing of like, why wouldn't you take the advantage to sort of really stack the card deep? But
guess they had
moving
other
on.
plans. Yeah, we'll move on from that. I don't want to spend the whole podcast talking about CM Punk as much as I'd like to. He didn't share, everything that I'm sure he's going to be sharing with us over the next few weeks leading up to All Out.
No.
Christian backstage, the Jurassic Express. I don't have any notes on this. It was a reasonably quick, short, and sweet promo. And Marco stunt, man, just fuck off. You have any words on this one?
Yeah, I thought that it was, Christian again with another good promo. It was a short one, but he had a lot of good fire to it, and he sounded like he believed what he said. Again, building his upcoming title match with Kenny Omega at All Out, saying that he's in Kenny's head. Jurassic Express, I don't really get why they constantly need to all be in the same promo and why we can't just have Christian standing there on his own to talk about his world title match, but whatever. So, yeah, decent little promo by Christian.
Nice. So we got the opening match of the show. We got the Private Party versus Jurassic Express in the first tag title eliminator. With the winner going on to face the Young Bucks at All Out for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Now, this is a bit of in a cage match. Yes, that's right. In a steel cage. This is a bit of a hard one because I don't think either of these teams are believable to beat the Young Bucks to start with. Don't get me wrong, both great teams other than Marco Stunt, get him out and they're fine. I'm just fucking shitting on him at this point. But I just don't see any of these teams being able to really take it to the Young Bucks. I already know that the Young Bucks are probably going to be going over it All Out in that steel cage and retaining their titles once again.
Yeah.
Just fuck, man. But anyway, and again, we couldn't go a whole show without the Young Bucks. We go one show without Jericho, but we still get the Young Bucks. Yeah, so DJ, take us through this match. Me, I actually didn't take too much notes in this because I do actually want to go back to that point before of what I was saying is a 1-segment show. And the problem with this being in the opener of the show is I was so overwhelmed and hyped from the CM Punk return that I just found it so hard to stay tuned into these matches. But yeah, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so Jurassic Express came out to a pretty good pop. Marco Stunt is annoying as fuck. I keep on thinking, how does he have a job on TV in wrestling?
Yeah.
Match got off to a really good start. It was nice and athletic, very smooth. The picture-in-picture during the ads, I wrote a comment down. The Roads to the Top reality show is the anti-CM Punk in wrestling. It just sucks that much. It's awful. It's the opposite of what the CM Punk return is for me. Private Party are really coming along. They've really improved in the last year or so. They are just getting so smooth. And it's almost to the point where I'd love to see Private Party versus the Street Profits in kind of a dream match, because I feel like at this point, Private Party would really be able to fucking tear the house down with a team like that. In fact, even though this match was really about building up Jurassic Express, I feel like Private Party almost outshined them. They performed that well. Having Matt Hardy there on the outside yelling instructions, always a nice little touch to see him. Having the Bucks out there was really fucking stupid.
It feels like at some points they're really trying to just get the Bucks on the show, anyone from the elite on the show for just the sake of doing it.
Totally unnecessary and just, like a good minute of TV time that we'll never get back. And they added nothing to it. They added nothing to the match. Yeah,
absolutely, bro. And there was just some parts of this match. I mean, again, I really struggled to pay attention to this one just because of the CM Punk promo at the start, but there were some absolutely just awesome moments in this match that really have shown exactly how far Private Party have come, even in what's been maybe just over a year and a half since they joined AEW. And that shooting star press, man, from was it Isaiah Cassidy?
Yeah,
think it was. Fuck, man, that was just
that
even
was
though the landing
impressive.
wasn't, the
That
landing
was impressive. If he had have actually been on
It's stuck.
target, then it would have been fantastic. But
it's just like the way that these with private party flow, man. It's the way they move. They're smooth. That's what I like about them. Again, there's some silly moments that do. There's a couple moves that they do that I'm just like, you know, the ones I'm talking about. But other than that, they're great. And I think Marco's stunt just getting ditched at the floor was pretty brutal.
oh yeah, that was sick. That was fucking awesome. Yeah, I almost forgot to mention that. Suck shit, Marco.
But yeah, we will see Jurassic Express go on to take on the Young Bucks at AEW All Out in a steel cage match. We already know the Young Bucks will go over.
Yeah.
So we go backstage now. We got Kenny Omega backstage promo. You mentioned that, in your opinion, actually, I'm going to leave this for you to say, but you mentioned a very astute point to me. That's something Kenny Omega doesn't do often.
So this was basically the first Kenny Omega promo I've ever seen on Dynamite or Rampage or AEW that I actually liked. It went for about 30 or 40 seconds, and Kenny Omega basically said he planned to retire Christian for another 7 years, which was really quite a savage thing to say. And then it cut away to the next segment, so Kenny Omega didn't have any time to ruin it with his stupid facial expressions or his ha-ha joking around. Great promo. Keep Kenny Omega's promos under 1 minute in length, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, that's right. There's a big difference when Kenny Omega's got time and then when he has to cut straight to the point. And I'm already noticing, you can notice that straight off the bat. He was straight to the point with what he was saying. There was no dicking around, no fucking making stupid fucking references to what the point he was trying to make. There was no, inside jokes that were being made between him and the Bucks or any things like that they can do sometimes. There was no fucking phone sex voice. None of that. So no, wasn't a bad job from the AEW World Champ. Coming up next, we had Jade Cargill versus Kiera Hogan. Again, I just want to say
they had a little promo beforehand as well.
Oh, yep. Sorry,
pre-taped promo.
Yep. I actually didn't write anything about that. I think I must have completely skipped it. Or did you? Did you see that? Did you watch it?
I'll go ahead. I'll take this one then. So, Jade Cargill's manager, Smart Mark Sterling. That's a fucking stupid name. Don't insult your fans by thinking that you're being cool and funny by using inside terminology. Smart Mark Sterling is his gimmick that he's just such a smart mark that he's somehow become a manager and thinks that that's going to be a useful skill as a manager. It's fucking stupid. Jade Cargill, very impressive young woman. She doesn't even need a manager. Like, she's impressive on her own, and she has the charisma and the swagger on her own and the ability to talk herself up. I really don't think she needs a manager at all. I can't figure out any reason for this guy even being on TV. As you said, Jack, the match is Jade Cargill versus Kiera Hogan, who didn't even get an entrance. Clearly, this was just going to be a squash match. That is exactly what it turned out to be. Very short and sweet. It did its job well. Like, Jade looked good coming out of this. I think that she really got herself over as sort of a threat in the AEW women's division. And once again, I just think that she really has that cool presence about her, a bit of that it factor that a good wrestling talent needs. So the sooner that they get her away from this Smart Mark dickhead and just let her go on her own, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't understand the Smart Mark name. I don't know if it's something that he's been doing. I don't pay enough attention to Dynamite. I will be starting to pay attention to Dynamite now that we're reviewing this on our channel. So maybe my knowledge will be a bit more helpful with with context, this sort of thing. I could say that for all of us, really. But yeah, again, like going back to what you said, Jade Cargill does not need a manager. Before this match, I didn't care for Jade Cargill. After I watched it the first time, I still didn't care. Watching it the second time with you, though, hit a little different because now I wasn't so overwhelmed by the CM Punk promo in return. I, had a bit more clear mind. I'd already seen it. It's already sunk in. I'd already had a shower. I'd already done my thing. And then I came and sat down and watched it with you as you were sort of watching it. And then this is the first time I've actually got a proper look at Jade Cargill. And I'm impressed, man. Like, she actually looks like she can kick some ass. She's got a good look. Very muscly. Ripped as fuck. Absolutely made an example of Kiera Hogan pretty much. And she's got a fucking awesome theme song. But I'm still I'm not won over yet. But that was a good showing for Jade Cargill. The match did its purpose. Yeah. Again, awesome finisher. It suits her so well. Just I think everything she does, like she works really well for her size. And that's something not a lot of bigger girls or taller or bigger, man. Like whatever big that we're talking about, a lot of them seem to try to work smaller than they are. And I think Jade really works her size very well.
Yeah.
Shame about Kiera Hogan though. But again, like this whole show so far, except for Private Party and Jurassic Express, like when this goes for the main event, foregone conclusions, as we say every week.
Like, yeah, like, you know, I mean, honestly, did I even give a rating to the fucking Jurassic Express? So. Yeah, no, like I'd give that match probably like a C plus. Like that was a pretty decent match. This match, I'd probably give a D because it just didn't really go on long enough to really be very high rated. But in saying that, it worked that it was short and sweet. So maybe even a C minus. So not bad, but still not crazy good. So I think I understand what you're saying. Like,
that's the thing. Like, actually, no, I'm gonna save this thought for when we get to the end of the show because I've got some final thoughts. So we go backstage after the Jade Cargill match. We got John Moxley and 2.0 having a backstage promo, sort of talking to each other. Where do we start with this one? 2.0 look okay. They look good. As I said to you, I'm not too familiar with their work. You filled me in on that context. Maybe you'd be more familiar with them, so maybe the promo hit better for you. Maybe you understood it a bit better than I did. John Moxley, he really just. I'm going to save that for you. Actually, you had some really good thoughts on that. Talk to me about John Moxley's promo. You're pretty much going to repeat my thoughts here. Yeah,
look, so Moxley's promo, this whole badass idea that he's trying to get across, it's not working for me. It's like he's trying too hard. You know, in the WWE, yeah, he was having to read it off a script. Maybe there was a reason for that because, you know, I just don't get this whole lone wolf badass thing. Like, dude, everyone knows you're married to Renee Paquette and that you've got a young child and that you're actually, you know, really nice people and shit like that. And also you're also a millionaire. Like, so it's not so much that I don't think he's tough as a person in real life. I'm sure he is, getting through injuries and all that different shit that's involved with being a wrestler. But, you know, he doesn't need to say as much. It's like he's trying to prove too much what a tough badass he is. He just needs to be a man of few words who lets his fucking actions in the ring do the talking for him. Like, I don't get why everything's got to be like so macho and fucking threatening violence and threatening killing people and crap like that. It just doesn't work. It's too much. You don't need that. You can get yourself over as a threat without having to go into such contrived territory.
Exactly right, man. Like for Eddie Kingston, that sort of stuff works for me personally, just because he's got the look.
He comes from that world though as well. He had some, you know, interaction with that kind of world.
And that's what I say, like, we're not discrediting John Moxley's upbringing or anything like that. We know he's gone into detail in the past as well about his upbringing and blah, blah, blah. But we know that he's got it together and he has for many, many years. We know that he's been a successful professional wrestler at the highest level for 10 years now.
Yeah, like a top level athlete in the business, you know, making some of the best money of anyone in the business. He's absolutely been crushing it for the last 10 years of his fucking career. And that is why a lot of this stuff that he's saying in these promos, bro, I think it's just ringing a bit hollow because it doesn't feel like it's coming from a place of real anger the same way that it might have when he was still cutting promos in CZW.
Yes, exactly right, man. Like his CZW persona suits everything he says. He's you know, when he's doing the whole deathmatch stuff, like when he's setting up for those sorts of angles, I'm fine with him talking like that, man. Go back to your CZW John Moxley days. But when you're doing just regular old shit, you're taking on fucking Daniel Garcia. It's Daniel Garcia, dude. Come on now. We already know you're beating him. We know you're going to be fucking squashing him. We know that you're going to be doing this. We know you're going to be doing that. We know you're just one paradigm shift and it's probably done. That's his finisher, right?
Yeah. We should mention as well before we cut away. Mark Henry was conducting this interview.
Yeah.
Big ups to Mark. He continues to be just a joy to watch. Like, just, my God, a highlight of Rampage for me. And good on him. I like seeing him. It's good that his charisma, his natural charisma as a talent can kind of shine onto these interviews a little bit that he's conducting. I really like that vibe. Anyway, we'll move on to the match. Do you want to go first or?
Yeah, look, I actually really don't have too much to say about this because there was not a lot to it. We already knew the result of this one, given they didn't give Daniel Garcia a fucking entrance, just like they did Kiera Hogan. I'm gonna say my final thoughts again. I've got a lot to say at the end there. It's about I do want to start with Moxley. You'll disagree, but I still like his theme music. Eddie Kingston looks like a meth head from Rockingham. And again, just by the time this match even started, you know who was going to win. It's impressive showing from Garcia though. Like, he showed a lot of good wrestling moves, and I think him and Moxley actually worked pretty good together. But again, what's the word we say every week, DJ? What's the word? Foregone conclusion. Again, just another one.
Exactly, man. Foregone conclusion. Like there's good in wrestling, right? There's good predictable and there's bad predictable, right? Like there's, it's fine to have things where your audience already knows ahead of time what's going to happen, but they should still be excited to see how we're going to get there. Then there's bad predictable where the audience already knows ahead of time what's going to happen and they have no interest in watching it get there because it's so just obvious.
Yeah, man, exactly right. And that's why I enjoyed this match, but I just couldn't get invested into it because you already know who's going to win. You're not buying into the person who's going to win. Sting and Darby coming out for the run-in was honestly a relief. That saved the end of the show to me because this was a one-segment show, and none of the matches kind of were worth maybe even being on the same lineup as a CM Punk return. But
imagine if the Christian Omega Impact title match from last week had been on this show.
That should have been tonight's main event.
Then we would have been cooking, right? We would have been cooking. I guess you would have taken some of the attention away from Christian's moment if you'd have done that. Yeah. But then that would have been like, okay, we've got this big return and we've got a hell of a main event to look forward to. What a big show. But you're right. It really was kind of a one-segment show. And I'll just quickly go through my thoughts on the match before your final thoughts here. Look, Moxley's theme doesn't really work for me. I think that it's, it's a personal thing. And I know I've mentioned it the last few times, but, it's not hitting right for me. I don't know why. It's nothing against the actual song itself. Anyway, Daniel Garcia is a really good, technical in-ring talent. I think when Bryan Danielson comes in, he would be someone I would enjoy seeing get in the ring with Garcia. I think that Garcia definitely has a lot to offer as one of those sort of hungry, technical, vicious technical wrestlers. This was a stiff match. It was hard hitting. Garcia didn't back down from any of the stiff shots. Garcia got a pretty good chance to actually use a lot of that wrestling ability. We saw some real cool counters, like he had some of Moxley's moves scouted. We saw some really good transitions into different submission holds. And it actually really did feel like, Moxley as a character came in there expecting to just beat this guy's ass and actually ended up being forced into a bit of a chess match. Decent little finish. Moxley eventually reverses a submission attempt into his bulldog headlock submission finish, and Garcia tapped immediately, which put the move over well. This whole thing probably went for about 5, maybe 6 minutes. Good match. Bit underwhelming. I really feel like like we were just saying a moment ago, I feel like we needed a bigger main event to really kind of push this show over the line as must-see TV. The run-in at the end was okay. I feel like they're probably building to a 2.0 and Garcia versus Moxley, Kingston, and Darby Allin match sometime in the next couple of weeks, maybe even next week on Dynamite. Yeah, look, I'd probably give this match a B-. This was, a really strong match. But yeah, I guess in summing up, I did kind of feel like, I'm a bit underwhelmed. I'm not exactly keen to tune in next week, Punk being back isn't enough for me to just want to tune in next week, because if I feel like it's just going to be the CM Punk show for the next 6 weeks and there's nothing else to look forward to, then that's not really, a great sign for the product.
Correct, man. You can't, I don't know, like, I'm not excited to tune back in next week. I'm not sold.
Yeah.
Dynamite, yeah. You know what? Dynamite might be interesting. And this is why I'm not too keen on Rampage. 1 hour is not long enough for AEW and what they do with their content. How they present their content, 1 hour is just not long enough. This was a 1-segment show through and through. At the end of the day, this show, like, you saw everything you needed to see in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The last 50 minutes, you could have gone about your day after that.
Yeah.
Having the CM Punk thing at the start of the show, it's so subjective. It's so hard to navigate that. I think just Tony Khan must have just had to make the best of it, really. But again, he could have just done so much more. He's got, look at that card, like, look at the roster they got. How many awesome matches they could have put on.
See, I almost find myself thinking now, bro, as you say that like, what if they had the tag team eliminator open the show?
Yeah.
Private Party and Jurassic Express open, and then you go to commercial after that. Bing, bang, boom. Now you do your CM Punk return. You've already built a bit of anticipation. You've opened up with a hot tag team match, and people are excited to see Jurassic Express advance in the tournament. And now, boom, we're getting to Punk's return. Maybe that would have helped fix some of the pacing issues that we've been discussing. But anyway.
Yeah, man. So, there could have actually been just so much more if they'd even done that, just like the way you just said. Having Private Party and Jurassic Express as the opener, and then having the CM Punk thing after. I don't think big things like that happen in the middle of the show as often as they should. It's always either at the end for the cliffhanger or the opener for the hot shot. Like, why not in the middle, man? Get people hot, get them anticipated, get them warmed up, and then bang, you've got them fucking, reeled in, and you've got CM Punk out there. Again, if you're going to have CM Punk return on the show, the card should just be stacked. I don't know how many times I've said that this show. There was not a single name on there except for maybe John Moxley. That was a credible name, especially to the casual AEW and pro wrestling audience who would have been tuned in. I can imagine that there would have been a substantially bigger number than usual watching the show tonight. That is such a tremendous opportunity to have for Tony and the boys at AEW. And they've just used all these unknown names on this card. I mean, that might be great for them. Now they're getting exposure to all this new audience. Like, that's great for Daniel Garcia, Jade, Cargill, Kiera, Hogan, who might not normally be exposed to them. But in terms of your overall product, I'm sure that doesn't really, I'm sure it's a small thing. I'm just nitpicking, but that's just the way I see it.
Like, there's going to be a lot of fans that disagree with us. I know that there are like plenty of fans on all sides that think that 1 hour is a perfect length for a wrestling show. I know a lot of people loved the 1 hour format of NXT. NWA Power was 1 hour long, and that was always a really, really digestible, well-paced show. I think the problem with Rampage, the 1 hour length, is just that they stuff so much shit in that it ends up that certain things feel rushed. Whereas what they should be doing is focusing on a few major key things that they want to present in each show, and then just fill out the rest, whatever's left over. If they wanted to pace it better. But anyway, I definitely think that people will disagree with our assessment of the overall show. Like, some people will. I think that a lot of people are going to look at this episode of Rampage with rose-tinted glasses because CM Punk came back, and it was an A+ segment. Our job here is to look at the show as a whole and review the episode from the, in my case, at least, from the perspective of really a new fan of AEW and someone that was skeptical of it for a long time. And I believe that the overall show suffered by sort of everything having to follow that CM Punk return in the opening. And Absolutely. I'd probably rate this show out of 10, bro. I'd probably give this one a 7.
7,
because I'd give it a 7 because I appreciate what they were attempting to do, but I don't think that it came across the way they necessarily wanted as an overall episode of television.
Yep. Hit the nail on the head there, bro. I really agree on pretty much everything you just said there. I knew that your points and we were going to agree for the most part with this show. We're the fans that really enjoy storytelling in wrestling. We love segments. We love storytelling. We love segments. And well, of course, we love the matches too. I mean, fuck, like that's what drew us in as kids. But for what AEW are trying to do, you cannot, I don't know. I think with AEW's style and their content, their presentation and everything, they just need time, man. Like just 2 hours is perfect for Dynamite. 2 hours would be perfect for Rampage, dude. I don't have a problem with them ever moving Rampage to 2 hours. I actually think that it's necessary because they have that much shit to get out there now. And again, like as we said on a stream a couple nights ago, we shouldn't be expected to go watch BTE. We shouldn't be expected to go watch Dark or anything like that. We should be able to get everything we need to know on fucking, the television show. And that's why I feel like, if they've got that much stuff to get out there and they've got to, implement YouTube shows, then maybe having Rampage for 2 hours isn't a bad idea. But that's just me anyway. I don't know, guys. That's it for me on this review. What about you, Dave? What about you, DJ? Have you any thoughts? Anything left? Or
no, I'd say that coming out of this, I'm excited to see what CM Punk is going to do, but I'm kind of a little bit concerned that everything else is going to kind of pale in comparison to that, and it's going to be. I think it would be a big mistake to solely rely on CM Punk being back to try to carry the product over the next few weeks.
Absolutely.
You need to keep bolstering everything else. You've got CM Punk. He's probably going to end up being like the face of your company now for the foreseeable future, the biggest star in the company. So you've got that now, but you need to keep building everything else up as well.
Yep, that's right, man. That's it. You can't have it being the CM Punk show. You can only milk it for so long. And hey, man, like as soon as Wednesday comes, you can't milk it any further. You've got to fucking be getting out of business, wheels on the ground. Fucking let's go. But yeah, that's it from us. So we'll be seeing you guys all again on Thursday or Wednesday. It'll be Wednesday US, Thursday Australia for Dynamite. Plenty of Insider's Edge episodes to come out. Where can everyone find you, Juicy Boy?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Juicy Boy, JOOSEYBOY. So follow me there. You can also catch what I'm doing on the WZWA Network, twitch.tv/WZWA Network.
Tight. And you can catch me at Mr. 55 Live on Twitter and Twitch. I will be starting my streams again over the next few months when I get a dual PC streaming set up, which also means better quality streaming on the WZWA Network for all of our gaming content. Great. So that's about it for us, guys. So we will see you guys down the road.
All right.
Take
See
care.
you down the road.